Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lassana Bamba. Today I'm speaking to you from Silver Spring, Maryland, and we are here attending the convention of the Federation of Liberian Mandingo Associations in the United States of America, FAMOSA. Today we have with us an honorable man within FAMOSA. He's no other than Honorable Francis Duwana. Welcome to my microphone, sir.
Thank you, pleasure.
Well, most people go on the listserv, they see like emails and other things like that. People hear the name Francis Duwana. Who is Francis Duwana?
He's sitting right here. The red shirt.
Okay.
I think a white cap. That's him.
Okay.
Nothing more, nothing less, except if you have any background.
As a member of the Federation of Liberian Medical Association, who is Francis Duwana?
In the first place, I am a Mandingo.
Okay.
From Lofa County, Liberia. And that's me for the most part. And the fact that FAMOSA is the federation grouping Liberian Mandingos in the diaspora, I felt that it was an opportunity for me to be part of this federation so that together, all of us from Liberia belonging to the same ethnic grouping will have this interactive opportunity to be able to share our common aspirations and views and determinations. So that's what I am, and that's the motivation of my being, my interest with FAMOSA and all it takes.
You've been affiliating with FAMOSA for some time now, and one would think that you have brought in some new ideas that will make the young folks to uphold the cultural virtues of this community. So what are some of the ideas that you've brought within this community that will make people to stand up tall tomorrow?
Well, I would hope that someone else will have been able to say that of me as to a third person who said Francis Duwana did bring in this idea or that idea. I don't want to be saying as beating my own drum.
Well, what is it that you know about yourself that you've brought in so far?
For the most part, that sense of encouraging youngsters of our ethnic group to appreciate being together, to appreciate the fact that we have a common cause to pursue. That is a motivation indeed that attracted me to the Federation. But more so, I thought that having a group as FAMOSA is, it would have been good for us to have an internal communication system, which brought me to the idea of suggesting to the then administration setting up of an internal listserv, which we now today call FAMOSA@yahoogroups.com. And I will leave that to yourself to see if that is helping in any way, shape, or form with propagating the goals and objectives of the Federation. And I've always also felt that no organization can survive without a guiding principle. So I've always been interested in the area of a constitutional process. And against that background, I got the opportunity of being requested by the now outgoing president, national president, Mohamed Ayuba Dukle, to see if, who asked me to see if I could help the process of reviewing the then Constitution. And I thought that was an opportunity for me to be able to be a part of a process that will set into motion a working document for FAMOSA. And so we became part of the process, and in fact, as a chairman of that constitutional review, that produced the constitution that we are now using. How good that constitution is, I would think that you will be one of those to make an assessment of that.
All right. Talking about the Constitution, we've heard a lot about the Constitution, where some would say this area wasn't fair, and others are thinking that this is fair, and sometimes it is a little bit controversial with regards to election issues and other things like that. And now, tomorrow we are having election within this organization. What impact do you think your ideas that you brought in will serve as a motivational force tomorrow to uphold the norms of this election so it is free, fair, and transparent?
Well, firstly, it is my understanding that we are going to again review the present constitution that we have just before the elections tomorrow.
Okay.
So if that happens, and I'm sure that's going to happen, then again it's going to be by virtue of the will and pleasure of the delegates regarding what they want us to have. Me and members of the Constitutional Review Committee, that including Bamba Fofana from New York and Edward Forsen-Sano from Philadelphia, we will be teaming up tomorrow to facilitate the process of reviewing the current Constitution. Go ahead.
Have you seen any area within the Constitution that needs serious attention right now?
Yeah, I mean, personally, from my point of view, Article 7.2 will be an area we'll have particular interest in.
What does that say?
It talks about the selection process of delegates to the FAMUSA annual convention.
Okay.
I don't want to be prejudicious here, regarding what I say, what my view on it, since there's a process tomorrow and I'm chairing that review process. I will leave that as if you don't mind, but that would be an area. But I have to be very honest with you. There have been other personalities within our community that have submitted up to, I have on my document, up to 10 provisions that they have expressed interest around which they feel that we need to discuss and see if we can amend, retain, or change.
And what is your take on some of those provisions that have been submitted?
Well, some, I have to be very honest with you, I don't see the need for change. Some, I totally agree with them, but none of those areas will be a decision that I will make or the members of the Constitution Review Committee. We are just simply going to put it to the delegates, and the delegates and us work together, discuss those provisions that are being submitted, areas that I have as chairman of the Constitution Review, or for that matter, any one of the commission has concern about, they will be able to pursue their views with an intent of convincing members of the delegation one way or the other. The delegates also have responsibility and right to be able to accept what we now have on the books or change based on, say, for example, if Mr. Bamba has sent a recommendation, Article 7.2, he wants to see it changed, added in this form or that form, the delegates would make decision along with Mr. Bamba as to whether it needs to be changed and how, or it needs to be retained.
All right. Thank you very much for that clarification. If I may take you back a little bit to the LISEF, you are the one who policed the LISEF to make sure that it is properly managed, and you've taken some criticism pertaining to this area. What do you think is the major issue with regards to that?
Misconception. And for the most part, assumption and acting on assumption. That had been one of the major problems we have within our community.
Okay.
I just sit here and assume, Lassana Bamba, I think Lassana Bamba did this. Yes, he did it. And then I just hold that against you without giving you the opportunity to discuss this thing with me, for me to find out whether indeed my assumption of you is true, and then I just adopt an action based on my assumption against you.
What kind of opportunity you need?
Well, not Francis Duwana by say, we need an opportunity in the community where we will be able to ask questions. area or areas where we have doubts before we can adopt a position.
Well, what I believe that some people might be arguing is that if you are policing the listserv, you shouldn't be in the Pandora box with other people as well. Like, for example, like A.B. Kroma and yourself, you know, most often we see right up from both of you accusations and counter accusations. And then you are also serving as a police for the listserv. So how do we fit this area?
Well, I kind of disagree with that because my being the moderator for the listserv does not in any way, shape, or form deny me of my right to free speech to an expression of opinion, which is the primary objective of, in fact, the listserv.
Then how can we distinguish between your free speech and your objectivity when it comes to policing the listserv?
But then you have to consider what is objectivity as compared to policing. The primary objective of the listserv is, in fact, to provide an opportunity for any and every FAMUSA member to express their views, as long as those views are not in any way intended to offer what we call profanity directly against any member.
Okay.
I mean, if
and we've seen things like that before, right?
On control. Now, in those areas, that's why we have a policy. In those areas, even if I am the moderator, and with no personal, with nothing personal against the recorder of this discussion, but if Mr. Jabate, for example, will have come out with some kind of provocative language in terms of profanity against Francis Duwana, the listserv policy provides that whosoever does that will have to bear some kinds of punishment. So obviously, Mr. Jabate will have to face that punishment. If it is Francis Duwana, no matter the fact that he's the moderator, if I insult directly Mr. Bamba, even indirectly, directly Mr. Bamba, the listserv policy should indeed kick against me, and if I'm supposed to be removed, I should be removed.
Are you willing to work with the incoming administration when it comes to policing the listserv?
Oh yeah, I'm open. I'm open to offer my service in any way, as long as it is going to be in the supreme interest of free flow of communication in our federation, and as well as it relates to the FAMUSA listserv. Oh yes.
Finally, most people think Francis Duwana is a very controversial person. What do you think of yourself? I might not understand when someone say controversial. I may not understand what's the meaning of that controversy, but I just feel the misconception could account for all of these things, because what could be your reason for labeling me or anybody as controversial, somebody else may not see it from that point of view. So it's very subjective. Right. And therefore, I may not be able to say anything about that. Everyone has a right to their opinion as to how they feel about Francis Duwana. But since I'm being asked, I can tell you, Mr. Bamba, I do not think that I'm controversial, just that I stand for principle. All right. Before I leave you, I want you to tell our listening audience something about yourself, something about Francis Duwana that we don't know.
I don't know if there's anything there.
All right, then
people don't know about Francis Duwana. I've been in the Mandingo community long enough, except for kids who are coming here recently, in recent years. Other than that, the name Francis Duwana has been around a long time. I mean, I have journalism as a background. I've been on radio, I've been on TV, on the national scene. And since I came here in the United States, I've been part of community activities. I mean, so it's just a lot out there about Francis Duwana. I don't normally like to be the one to say, I am this, I am that. Let people find out who this Francis Duwana is.
There are several, in the Mandingo community, they have certain names that when people call, they will be like, oh, he's Mandingo. Where did the name Francis Duwana come from?
It came from, that's a very good question, though. Firstly, Duwana is the first name of my father, my late father, may so rest in peace.
Amen.
He was actually called Duwana. But when we had to go to school in the 60s, in the early 60s, people then were somewhat not were, but they had this lackadaisical attitude towards providing spelling, adequate spelling for native names. So instead of doing an adequate name spelling to reflect Duwana, they just say, okay, we'll call him, we'll spell it D-U-W-A-N-A, three-syllable word, which instead of calling it Duwana, and in Duwana now it became Duwana. Okay. Francis, my native name is Kemo.
Kemo.
I am of the Trawale, origin. Okay. So you could call me Kemo Trawale. And when I was born, growing up, in our cultural orientation, then normally your name follows your mother's name. Okay. May her soul rest in peace. My mother was called Kowo Kamara, but I was always known as Kowo Kemo. Okay. Okay. Until I entered school and they decided, and then I didn't know, I didn't have any idea as to what to change, what not to change, but they decided to call me Francis. I didn't object it because I didn't know, I didn't even have any idea whether you could object it then. Okay. I mean, the school authorities said, okay, we're not going to call you Kemo, we're just going to call you Francis. What's your father's name? My father's name is Duwana. Okay, we'll call you Francis Duwana. That's how the name Francis.
But now you have the idea of maybe maintaining it or changing it, so.
I don't intend to change the name Francis Duwana because I honestly feel that it makes no big difference. I may not understand why someone would question the name Francis as being a Mandingo name or non-Mandingo name. All right. I don't see it as a problem because we have so many other names that are not necessarily Mandingo names. Right. Abraham, Sekou, Mamadi, Muhammad, you name it. Okay. Those are actually not Mandingo names, typical Mandingo names. So why would people have problem with Francis and wouldn't have problem with Abraham?
I'm not assuming that people have problem, but maybe somebody sitting out there might wonder Francis Duwana. With stereotype, they might think that the name Francis Duwana is not from a Mandingo background or something like that.
Exactly what I was talking about. That's exactly what I was talking about. Because if you say, oh, because he's Francis, he's not Mandingo, then why would you agree that Abraham is a Mandingo? Well, Abraham is not a Mandingo name. Maybe you follow the logic I'm trying to present here. So it doesn't matter to me. I can choose whatever name. I wasn't born with a name. Okay. I was born after which I was named. But one thing that is for sure was that, or is in fact that, I was born as a Mandingo.
All right.
Period.
I don't know how much time we have left, but before I leave you, since you joined FEMOSA, or you became a member of FEMOSA, what is it that you think you have done that you did not like?
Ooh. What have I done that I do not like? I have to be honest here. Unless you point it out to me, I probably might have a default in memory, but I don't know that I have taken this course of action as far as FEMOSA is concerned that today I regret. I'm not saying that with arrogance.
No, I understand.
I honestly don't know. But it could be possible that I might have done something either to Bamba or to somebody else that I have forgotten, and maybe if my memory refreshed, I might say, oh yeah, that's true, and I wish I could do it differently, but other than that, no, I don't know.
It was a nice time speaking with you, and I sincerely appreciate your time. I have been speaking with Honorable Francis Duwana, a resident of Philadelphia, and he's also a member of the Federation of Liberian Mandingo Associations here in the United States of America. And today we are speaking to you from one veteran place in Silver Spring, Maryland. Today happens to be the convention of the Federation of Liberian Mandingo Associations in the United States. Honorable Francis Duwana, thank you very much, and I appreciate the time.
Thanks
Once
for having
again,
me.
my name is Lassana Bamba, and we leave you from this end.
Thank you so much.